Tensions between Russia and Ukraine continue to mount. Russia is amassing more troops along its border with Ukraine and has announced new military exercises. NATO is sending more jets and ships to the region, even as leaders press for a diplomatic solution. These are images of Canada's embassy in Kyiv. Global Affairs Today announced it is temporarily withdrawing families of diplomatic staff in Ukraine. Canadian citizens are also being advised not to travel there, and if they are already there, to leave. The U.S., Britain, and Australia have issued similar advice. Russia denies it's planning an assault, but it has launched new military exercises in the west of the country that include short-range ballistic missile units. Several rounds of high-stakes diplomacy have failed to yield any breakthroughs. NATO is bolstering its forces in the Baltic Sea region as a deterrence. The U.S. has also ordered more than 8,000 of its troops on higher alert. The CBC's Evan Dyer joins us live from Chelsea, Quebec. So, Evan, what's the latest?
Well, so Canada becomes, as you say now, the fifth country to do something to draw down its diplomatic presence in Ukraine. In addition to the countries you mentioned, the US, UK, and Britain, which have brought out family members, Germany has sort of taken a middle road, offering to pay for those family members who want to leave Ukraine. So it's sort of an apparently deliberate effort to do something that sent less of a message of alarm, according to German foreign ministry officials who said that they didn't want to go quite as far as the US and UK. Canada, however, also seems to have taken a bit more of a middle road. It's not pulling out all family members. Let's look at a statement from Global Affairs Canada. We've decided to temporarily withdraw Canadian Embassy staff's children under 18 years of age and family members accompanying them. Officials at Global Affairs Canada and at the Embassy of Canada to Ukraine in Kyiv will continue to closely monitor the situation. So it sounds as though family members who are there who don't have children accompanying them, to read that literally, will be remaining in Ukraine, or at least have the option of remaining in Ukraine. The Ukrainian government, Andrew, not really happy to see these embassy withdrawals. You know, it's in a difficult position where it wants countries to take its situation seriously, but it also doesn't want to send signals of panic that could harm the Ukrainian economy or spread fear among the Ukrainian population. And we've seen government spokesman Oleg Nikolenko yesterday sort of taking a very gentle shot at the U.S. administration for withdrawing some of its diplomatic families from there. And today, we're seeing again Oleg Nikolenko coming out and thanking the countries that have chosen to remain in Ukraine. So out of 129 diplomatic missions in Ukraine, 125, he says in this tweet, but 124 are still there. In this tweet, he says, grateful to our international partners for their solidarity with Ukraine. It's extremely important to avoid activity that could be used in the information space to increase tensions in society and destabilize the economic and financial security of Ukraine. And in response to all of this, the European Union has informed Ukraine that it won't be pulling any people out of the country. And the Ukrainian government then thanked the EU for their dedication and commitment in staying there. So certainly Canada's chosen a course which is in line with its US and British allies, who it tends to follow most closely in these matters. But Canada has also made an effort to sort of portray itself as the #1 defender of Ukraine. And here it's taking an action that the Ukrainian government really doesn't seem to approve of all that much.
Yeah, definitely. It's showing its disappointment. Evan, the US President Joe Biden just spoke on Ukraine. What's he saying?
Right, he did. And he was, of course, being asked about one of the things that we saw yesterday, which was the attachment of 8,500 troops to a NATO reaction force. So essentially, these are U.S. troops being mobilized, not deployed, not sent to any front, but rather made to stand ready to reduce the amount of time they need to actually get on the move by doing some preparations. But it will be NATO that actually has a decision on whether or not to deploy them. Let's watch Joe Biden speaking a short while ago with reporters.
Change in the posture of the Russian forces. There have and now they're, as you know, they're along the entire Belarus border. And I made it clear to early on to President Putin that if he were to move into Ukraine, that there'd be severe consequences, including significant economic sanctions, as well as I'd feel obliged to beef up our presence, NATO's presence on the Eastern Front, Poland, Romania, etc. This is all Putin. I don't think even his people know for certain what he's going to do.
Would you ever see yourself personally sanctioning him if he did invade Ukraine?
Yes.
So that reference to troops being in Belarus, Russian troops being just across the border in Belarus from Ukraine, perhaps gives some indication of why some of the embassies are taking this decision. Most of the Russian troops are concentrated at the eastern border of Ukraine, close to the conflict zone of the Donbass, Donetsk and Luhansk. But there are also Russian troops that have moved into Belarus. They've come much further west than they could within Russian territory itself. And that puts them a lot closer to Kiev, which of course is where the foreign embassies are. So that appears to be driving some of that concern. There have been a lot of troop movements, of course, going both ways, and exercises also by the Russians. And today, one interesting note, the Russian Navy, which announced yesterday that it would have exercises off the southwest coast of Ireland. We see Irish fishermen today announcing that they're going to try to disrupt those exercises. Sailing out there, the Irish government telling them, please don't do that, don't get in the way of the Russian Navy. And the fishermen saying, well, this is our livelihood, this fishing ground, so we're going to go ahead and do that anyway. That's going to be happening next month for some more drama.
Yeah, these are the kind of dangerous moments, right, where you kind of you see these kind of things happen and they can just escalate unexpectedly. Evan, thank you. The CBC's Evan Dyer, live in Chelsea, Quebec.